All right, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started with our kind of main event. Got a quick demo for you just to kind of get back into the groove of Gravit Designer. Just one second. All right. We've had a little bit of practice with Gravit, right? We've done the Iron Man example, redrawing that Iron Man using the pen tool, which is probably exactly how this guy who originally created all these portraits did it, right? So we're using the same tools that he did, so we can make this look almost exactly like the original, which is nice. Kind of goes with the theme of the project. So we're going to go ahead and open up our Gravit Designer. If you want to use the desktop version, that's cool. If you want to use the web-based version, you can do that as well. My web-based version tends to get a little finicky whenever I try to do a bunch of pen tools and Bezier curves, so I tend to stick to the downloadable version, but you can obviously do that any way you want. So we're going to go into Gravit. We are going to make a new design. Normal size, right? We're going US letter, and I like portrait. If you like landscape, that's cool, but it seems like what we're working on is basically the size of a piece of paper, and if it's not, we can resize it. Then we're going to go to KF Project and download an image to work on. Now, if you're wondering which image to work on, I've actually uploaded this image to the classroom stream. Basically, you have 3 different categories, right? You have beginner, intermediate, and advanced. So beginner is going to be right what we've already done. I didn't give you a choice on that one, unfortunately. I just chose Iron Man for you. That's the traditional one that we start with. Intermediate is going to be any one of these 4, and then advanced is going to be any one of these 9. Oh yeah, good call. I'm like recording it, but I'm not presenting it. Thank you. Good call. 1 second. Thank you. I knew I was missing something. All right, here we go. So these are your options. You didn't miss much. We're good now. Everyone can see. Hopefully. All right, good. Thank you. Sorry about that. So these are your different options, right? We got Iron Man. We got these guys down here, Hawkeye, Nova, Catwoman, and Deadpool, question mark. We'll worry about these later. But you are going to be choosing one of these intermediate, one of these 4 over here. And again, you can find this image on the classroom stream. And we're going to recreate it. So I'm going to choose Nova. So this is the one that I'm going to use as my practice. So I'm going to go over, this is the image I've already downloaded from the internet. So you can drag and drop. You can right click on it and download it. Drag and drop to the desktop, that is. So I already have it sitting on my desktop or somewhere on my computer, so I'm just going to drag it and drop it into my KF project window. It's pretty appropriately sized, right? I don't really need to change anything. But now I need to go about kind of remaking this. So actually, I'm going to shrink this a little bit. And we talked about this sort of, but when you're resizing something, you want to make sure not to scrunch it, right? Whether or not that's like this or like this, right? That's not what we want. So we're going to undo that. And then what we're going to do is hold down the shift button on your keyboard while you're resizing. And what that does is no matter where you kind of put that, no matter how large you resize your object, hopefully it keeps the same proportions. So just try that one more time. Please. There we go. So resizing, holding down the shift button. Boom. We're good. All right, so now we have some room to go side by side and kind of, create this portrait one object at a time. So what we're going to do is start with our pen tool. Pen tool's up here, right? So when you're using that pen tool, remember you can make those straight lines, right? This is something that we've practiced using the Iron Man or remaking the Iron Man. When you're using the pen tool, it's important to remember which anchor point was your first one, right? Because when you want to end your shape, you have to click on that first. Your last click is the same node as your first click. So my first click was that beginning one down there, right over here. So my last click is going to be right on top of that, and that will give me a nice complete shape. I don't need that right now, so we're going to get rid of it. Now, the difference between the beginner and the intermediate is the presence of curves, right? So there's not an overwhelming amount of curves, not an overwhelming amount of detail. However, you do need to be able to curve successfully in order to make this work. So we're going to zoom in nice and tight, and we're going to start trying to create these curves. So I'm going to focus on this curve right over here. Sorry, let me adjust some attendance. I'm going to focus on just this area from the bottom of the helmet to the star, or that red star, whatever that is. I'm going to use the pen tool. I'm going to click for my first anchor point. Then I'm going to click at the height of this curve, right? So right there at the top, I'm going to hold it down and I'm going to drag forward until that curve kind of matches with what I already have. All right, so I'm going to curve and create these handles. I'm going to let it go. And then I'm going to click on the next part, right? So try to get it to line up. And that's close. I could go back and work on that later. Let's go ahead and work on the next one. So moving forward, I'm trying to trace this yellow helmet, right? So I'm going to go not too far, but maybe like here. This is something you get the feel for after a while. As in the Bezier game, you're trying to make as few anchor points as you can, right? But sometimes some shapes require more than others. So I'm going to click and hold and drag in the direction that I'm outlining, right? So I'm not dragging backwards, right? Because that makes a weird kind of bulgy curve. And I'm not just simply clicking, right? I don't want a straight line. I want a curved line. So I'm going to drag that out a little bit. Notice that both handles are outside of the shape that I'm trying to create. And that's usually the way you want it to be. All right. And this is my black line that's going on and on. So I think my next move is going to be at the top of the head just to keep it symmetrical. Again, I'm going to click, hold it down, and then drag until it kind of fits the curve that I'm making. And then you don't have to do this, but what I like to do is kind of try to make them even. So if I have an anchor point that's sitting over here, I'm going to try to put it at kind of the same spot on the other side. And you can see it's already kind of curved, right, because of the last curve that we put in. So again, I'm going to hold it down and I'm going to click and drag until that curve fits. All right. One thing to notice also is you never want to have two handles that are crossing each other. So if you have handles that are like touching or close to touching, you've probably done something wrong and you want to hit that edit undo button and kind of try to switch it up later. So I'm going to move on down. It looks like our next anchor point was right about here, and it looks like I barely have to do anything to like have this work out pretty perfectly. I am going to give it a little pull, right, just to set up my next curve. And then it looks like we did something like this. So clicking and pulling. This is a straight, or my next line is going to be straight. I want an angle. So I'm going to actually just simply click. So now this is actually, you can see the anchor points are different. This is a curve, so it's circular, and this is straight, so this is a box. Then I'm going to set up another point, simply a click, because we're doing a straight line. And then click and drag. Click, because it's straight. Click. Right, so you're doing a combination of straight lines and curved lines, right? So it's important to kind of know which one you're doing. And this is going to be kind of, well, here we'll go halfway. Click and drag, just so both, you don't want one handle inside and one handle outside, right? You want both handles ever so slightly on the outside of your shape. And then a simple click, you want a square. And then we're going to finish up right where we started with a click. And when we do that, the shape automatically fills in. Obviously, we don't want white, but, you know, we can fix that here in a second. Wow. So there you go. That was kind of a lot of work for just a little guy. But we zoom out to 100. We take our selection tool. I want to select this path, and I can already tell it's going to give me trouble. There we go. All right, clicked on the path. Let's see if it moves. Nope, of course. There we go, moving. I like to hold down the shift button when I move. That only allows you to move it in 45. It like locks it. You'll see. So I hold down the shift button. I move it off to the side. Unfortunately, we're white on white. That's not something we want to do, right? Because we won't be able to see it. So I'm going to come over here to my colors. From experience, I know that it's not a yellow. It's more of an orange. And then I'm going to kind of move this around until I find something that is sort of appropriate for this color. And I'm having a harder time than usual. That's fine. Cool. Then I can go ahead and get rid of this outline, right? I don't need it, so I can press the eyeball under border, get rid of it, and now we have a pretty close approximation of that helmet. And after that, it's just a matter of kind of layering things, right? So I have the helmet, I can put the eyes on top of it, as well as this weird star thing. I can do kind of the shoulders and the face, and I'll have to kind of shuffle those around to make them work. Remember, you can always change the order of things on the layer side over here. So right now, our path that we just made is sitting on top of the Nova Minimalist KF project image. If you want to change that, you just drag it below, and now the KF, the Nova is on top, right? This image is on top, the path is underneath it, and that's what we see. Right, we want it on top, obviously, because we're just going to have it sitting over here. And then just one at a time, we're just going to move those shapes, create them, and move them over. So what I'm looking for in this assignment, well, here, I'll talk about that in a minute. Does anyone have any questions just based on that demo?